before we get started tonight, we don't usually do the pledge at community meetings, but since today's Veterans Day, we want to honor the veterans. So we thought we'd do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I didn't know whether there were any board members or any community members who are veterans, but if there are any veterans in the room, if you could stand so we can thank you and recognize you. Are there any veterans in the room? Okay, all right.
Okay, so we'll move on to public comment. The Pembroke School Board welcomes public comment. According to policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. The speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note that these sessions are designated for comments. To protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community, the board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrators or board members, or to communicate to the board and superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@pembridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. Is there any public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the first agenda item, which is the new AP Chemistry textbook. Dr. Dormer. All right.
I guess we're starting with good good evening. As is College Board policy, we are at the stage where we need to renew our AP Chemistry textbook. The College Board states that in order to qualify for AP designation, no textbook may have a publication date that is 10 years or greater. And we are in the final year of our existing textbook, so Kim DeStefano and I, Kim is the current AP Chemistry teacher, she's the only one who teaches the course, reviewed 5 different resources and evaluated them all using our rating scale and instructional materials. And we are recommending that the Chang 13th edition, which is the newest edition of the current text that we have available in the course, be the one that is selected for this course for renewal. So if we go through, you can see the ratings that we selected in terms of the curriculum match. We were very pleased that the Chang text really does align superbly well with the College Board curriculum for the AP course. They even make it a point to align to the big ideas and the science practices that are outlined and are specifically tested on the AP exam. So calling attention to those sorts of things kind of gave them an edge in evaluating the materials. So as we went through, there were a couple that were fairly close. The one that came in pretty much second place was the Brown and LeMay text, Chemistry, the Central Science, the AP edition. This one again was pretty close and did not align quite as well to the AP curriculum, and it was also a little bit more expensive in terms of the value that we were getting. So the Chang text, we can get print and digital bundles, as we did our survey last year and saw the results that our AP students prefer to have both. This one was available print only at already starting at $213. To add the digital cost would have put it closer to $300, whereas the Chang bundle was about $178 per bundle. So significantly better in that regard, and again, better aligned to the curriculum. We evaluated 3 others that we just didn't feel like were quite going to meet the needs of our students, and therefore we're recommending the Chang text. So if I can, is the proposal up or something?
Yes, I thought it was a separate and what needs sentence.
Okay, there it is. So I want to call one final thing of attention. So those are just our, science guidelines, our units of study, and so forth. Here is the price quote that we received from McGraw-Hill. We do a lot of business with them. So we are requesting 60 bundles, approximately, 2 full sections on average. The courses have fluctuated between 2 and 3 sections per year for AP Chemistry. We expect that natural fluctuation to kind of continue and alternate as we move forward. Then, of course, the piece for curriculum writing. And one thing of particular note, forgive my scrolling, is that our students continually perform above not only state but also national, averages in every single category across the board. So I thought that was worth highlighting. These are last year's results, but it's been this way ever since Mrs. DeStefano has been teaching it, and ever since we've been offering the course. So if you look at our multiple choice, and it's not real large right here. Let's go full screen. Oh, even worse. Let's go back. Right? You can see here there's nice little green check marks. So we are ahead again of state and national performance in both multiple choice and free response in every single category. So we felt like the current text was meeting the needs of our students, our teachers using it well, she's familiar, and again, we both felt the alignment was just too good to ignore. So this is the recommendation.
And this is the actual new.
That is the actual new version.
Perfect, got it in person. That's great, yeah, we do really well with the AP classes, that's a testament to the teachers. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Can you explain what the marking is on SP3, engages in scientific questioning to extend thinking or guide investigations? There's like a, what do you call that?
I see the little.
Here, look at mine. What is this? So,
That was not applicable in terms of, there was only one item tested in that area, so it wasn't enough to statistically
oh, I
draw any comparisons.
see. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Anyone else?
Dr. Gorman, I just want to thank you and Mrs. DeStefano for your work with it, right? I appreciate that I understand she's the only teacher who's teaching it, so I know usually the committee's a little larger than that. But to have somebody who's actually using it day in and day out with the students, as well as the number of texts that you look at. Like, I think it's just really strong to take a look at multiple, see what's out there in terms of the new pieces that are there. So thank you for that and for following through with the group. So I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Yes,
Move to motion?
thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the Microsoft Specialist Excel and Access certification. It's the third one down the first column.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be back in front of you again. There's an exciting option here for students coming up for hopefully the next school year. The Microsoft certification class is phase 2 of a previously board-approved phase 1, which was Microsoft certification for Word and PowerPoint. This is the continuation of that course. We'll be talking specifically about Access and Excel with a little seasoning of Outlook and how to maximize their emails. And if you ever look at a student's email account through the Penridge account, it's quite a mess. So we'll show them how to maximize that a little bit. The reason for the change, if you remember several years ago, we had a computer applications course, which was a year-long course, which encompassed all the 4 major products, in addition to how to use the internet and some keyboarding basics. We have since eliminated those 2 since these are digital age students. They're used to the internet, they're used to keyboarding that they get at the middle school level. So we wanted to focus more on their skills in the particular software. In this case, it's going to be the Excel and Access with the Outlook input as well. The key component is at the end of this class, students would be able to take an industry level certification and they can leave Penridge High School with currently now 2, if this course gets approved, Microsoft Office certifications, which sets them head and shoulders above their peers that are applying for business level, entry level positions. With this now certification, shows their potential employers that they have some basic skills. The employers appreciate that. It allows them to focus, train them on the job they're going to do instead of teaching them how to use Excel. So it's an industry recognized certification administered through Servport, which we'll be taking at the Bucks County Community College. We have the class currently running now with the Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. We have about 26 or 27 students enrolled there now, and we're looking for at least 15 to 20 of those kids to actually sit for the exam to be certified in January. Mr. Lycone, who's teaching the course, has taken a little straw poll to see who would be interested, and he's gotten some positive feedback. So we're hoping this course here will continue to grow that opportunity for our students as well. We're working with Bucks County Community College. They've already agreed to move the testing up to our campus here in Percy, which is a great benefit. Our children don't have to travel to Newtown just to take the certification exam. We're still working on them with price, trying to get the pricing down a little bit, because right now it's about $119 at the student cost. We're trying to work with that. $25 to $30 of that is administration fees through Bucks County Community College, and we're hoping they can sort of play with a little bit. We, as a business department, are also actively seeking business sponsorships. We have a couple local businesses that may be willing to sponsor 2 or 3 test takers to take the exam, so sort of cover the cost a little bit. So we can grow that a little bit, where our business community can get involved in the students taking the test. If price is, or if the cost is a barrier for those students, we want them to have the opportunity if they so desire. Hopefully our businesses will be able to take care of that. So in the proposal itself, you can see, it goes through each of the applications, Excel, what we'll be talking about, mostly creating the Excel spreadsheets, managing the formulas, really maximizing the power of Excel. Same with Access. Database management and blockchain management is becoming a huge industry driver these days, where these databases created in Access sort of create these job opportunities for our students. So having a basic understanding of certification. There's different levels of certification. This is just the primary level. They can go on to a master's cert later on their own, but this sort of gets a foot in the door. And then there's a little bit about Outlook, like we said, managing effectively their email. Right now their inboxes have probably thousands of emails in there, real tough to sort through, so how to maximize that effectively. I'm sure myself and my colleagues can benefit from that too. So if you have any questions about what the scope and sequence is going to look like, I'll be happy to answer those as we move on to the cost. Exact same cost structures we had for the previous class. We'll probably be able to have a little bit of savings on our staff development, since it will most likely will be Mr. Lycona teaching the class again. So he's already been through their Servport certification, Microsoft certification to be certified to teach the class, so that cost will probably be able to be saved on the long end. We're again estimating for about 30 students to enroll in the first semester next year of this course. They're able to take the course, either the Access and Excel course first, or the Word and PowerPoint course next. We're not really too concerned with the order, so it doesn't matter which semester they fall upon. So we're looking at about 30 in each class, hence the cost of the licenses. That's that first cost there you see, up to $1,000 would be the site license through Test Out. And I shadowed Mr. Lycone in a couple of his classes recently, see how the course is going, and the software that they provide us is amazing. One, he goes through a brief 10-15 minute description of how to use what the skill they're learning, say whether it's inserting tables or they're editing an image, and then they follow along with him going on their laptops with what he's doing in front. Then they have the tutorial series that they can then self-pace through that session that they're talking about, editing images or adding tables. So they can go through at their pace, and they can even work ahead a little bit to help better understanding and they have the next discussion. So the software is encompassing, it's very educational, very useful, very easy to use. I was able to pick it up within the first 30 minutes of sitting there watching, so it was very intuitive to be able to manage that software, and the kids seem to enjoy it greatly. We'll have some of the equipment costs, again, because there's the tutorials, we have headsets the kids are going to wear. So that first year, we're asking the district to pay for that cost, and we'll work that into a business department line item eventually to replace those from year to year. So the grand total cost, I think, was just over $1,900 for the district. Again, the curriculum writing, again, that might be a little bit more flexible with our total cost there, simply because Mr. Lyco's already done it once, so we're changing a little bit going forward. So that's what we're looking for, Excel and Access for next school year to be available for our students. Any specific questions or concerns?
Mr. Dyer, I just want to thank you.
I like it.
I just want to thank you and the department, because as we're having conversations with the tech schools, we're having conversations with Bucks County Community College and with our peers in the county, a lot of things they're talking about is how can we open up certification programs for all of our students in lots of different areas. So I appreciate your department kind of leading the way here at Penridge.
Yeah, we value that simply because a lot of these kids are going to end up going into business, and this is a skill, even if you're not going into business, that you can really use, and we see great value in it, so thank you.
Is the course they teach at the community college, do you know? Just something students would take as part of a degree program?
It's not a full 3-credit course. They do offer evening courses for adult learners or non-traditional students to take as well. So they have the same certification testing for them, but because we're the high school and our students aren't working typically, so we want to be able to work on that price a little bit. So it may be we have to have a model out there, like we'll send you 15 kids every semester or 30 kids every semester, and we're like, all right, so now we see a value growing, maybe we can talk price. The first year may not be a whole lot of movement on that.
Well, I think it's a great idea to go to ask businesses to basically provide scholarship for the students. That is
More or
really
less,
good.
yep.
I guess my question about whether this would be a community education class is sort of answered. And I do think that it will add a lot of value to our students, so that, you know, $1,900 to me, the return that we'll get from it, the kids are going to be able to go out and get a job that's going to pay them a lot more than another job might pay them. So no matter what they decide to do in the
Exactly.
future. So I
Something they carry with
appreciate
us.
this. Yep, they'll never
Whole way.
forget it, right?
Yep.
Every job, I do job listings sometimes, and they always say, do you know how to do these things? And I say, no, but see, now our kids will know how to
Sets
do
them
it.
apart.
Yep. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to know, so they take the test in January, but these are kids that have only been taking it for a semester, they have all the
It is a
information.
semester-long course, an 18-week course. Yep.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry to clarify that.
That would
So yeah, basically they're going to take it the week after their finals. They take the finals here at school. That the final that we give them here will sort of be a test prep for them to take the certification exam. So if they feel comfortable in the final, they'll feel real comfortable with the certification.
Does anybody else have any other questions or any objection to meeting it?
That's great.
Sounds good.
So, Excel, move to motion? Thank you.
Thank you for your
Mr. Dyer.
time. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up is the music department honors proposal.
So, you know, like,
Right.
my eyes are bad.
It's good sign.
Hi there, good evening. Yep, we're good to go. So this, sorry for those of you that I've not been here as often as Mr. Dyer, my name is Kevin Fair, I'm the band director at the high school. Took one from his. So over specifically this past school year, our music department coordinator and our orchestra director, Marissa, have worked on proposing and implementing a new second-level orchestra course. And what that puts us at in the district at the high school is now across the board choir, band, and orchestra. We have an entry-level performing group, and then we have an audition-based higher-level group to perform with. Now that we're normalized across orchestra, band, and choir,
we have the opportunity to start to see how much the students can handle at the different levels. Currently in our structure now, the audition level and the entry level all receive academic credit. But the audition level, we're starting to see the potential in the students, and they're performing things that are considered at a collegiate level. Many of the times pieces that I personally might not have seen since my sophomore or my junior year of college. If you refer to the screen, we tried to visualize as best. Sometimes we know terminology music-wise makes sense in our head, but we just wanted to make a visual to make things as approachable as possible. We mapped out the average path for a music student. So if you look here, we have our lower level ensemble and our upper level ensemble. We have 2 students that start in year 1. They join at the entry level ensemble. And then after this, in their second year, 1 student moves up to the upper level audition-based ensemble, and the other might remain in the lower level. The rigor of the material that they're performing increases and improves based on the nature of the audition level of the group. But between year 2, 3, and 4, they experience different pieces, they learn different things, but the offerings for the most part, stay the same. It's just different material that they are going through. Based on what we've observed in the potential of the students and different ideas in how we thought we could implement career readiness and community level performances, what we've started to observe is the potential level of achievement of these students can be excelled beyond that. And to go through that, we want to propose the upper level ensembles that exist now be awarded honors credit based on this plan and this proposal's attention to continuing the higher level collegiate repertoire that they currently perform. And then 2 other new key components that Marissa's going to speak a little about. The first is a contract extension portion of our proposal, and lastly a career readiness that applies directly to our senior students. And Marissa has a little bit more in depth in terms of those.
So the full contract that we're referring to can be found on page 5 in the full proposal. The contract is a collection of typically extracurricular activities that these honor students would be able to choose from as a part of their curricular course. So they would choose what they wanted to do based on the tier or the year that they are in this honors level course. And they fall into basically 3 big categories. One is the performance category, where the performances are housed here at Penridge. So things like jazz band, girls and boys choir, string quartet, things like that are all after school, but students could choose to be a part of them as one of their contract items. We also have items that are traditionally more academic, so they're composing or they're writing. They could be part of a podcast creation based around music. And then we have performance opportunities that are based beyond Penridge, so auditioning for MEA festival auditions, going beyond that, regional state, or any adjudications that would happen outside of the school. The tier in which the student is involved with the honors level course would dictate how many of these items they have to complete per year, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But when they return to the class the next year, they would not be able to complete the same items. So if they were a sophomore and they successfully auditioned into the course, then the following year, their junior year, they would have to pick different contract items to go through. So that by the end of their time here at Penridge, they would be getting quite a bit of extension activities through this course. And then for our seniors, we're proposing a career pathways style contract item, and we're proposing that this would account for 3 of their 5 necessary contract points. What we're doing is and this can be found on page 44 of the full contract. We're asking that students choose one of the 4 pathways that we are presenting to them, and each of them would explore these careers a little bit more in depth by interacting with a professional currently in the career, doing some kind of written work or tangible product that a professional in this career might be asked to complete. And then finally, they would be asked to present their findings to a panel of their teachers, kind of as like the final exam, if it were, as a public speaking portion of this.
So to give an illustration, this is back to our current model, what we have now with our 2 academic level courses. We have the lower ensemble level achievement and the upper level ensemble achievement. Years 2, 3, and 4, there's not as much growth. It's just different repertoire of music that they perform. On the new proposal structure, as a student makes it into that honors ensemble, they gain the benefit of playing the more difficult music, but additionally we're asking them to complete 2 contracts, whether it be perform in 2 extracurricular groups, whether it be complete a podcast project or a composition project and perform in another group. It's completely up to their choice. And then beyond there, when we move to the next year, they continue the rigor of the music and the repertoire that they're performing, but then they're asked to do 5 more. So it doesn't mean that they can't continue to be a part of the extra ensembles, but we're challenging them and asking them to explore beyond what they're comfortable with to see what is available to them from a musical perspective. And then Tier 3 just continues the trend forward, and the senior project is, even if they are not looking at music as a career destination, this puts them in the best place possible to find an avenue to make them a lifelong musical learner, whether it be from a production standpoint or an education standpoint. And we're trying as best we can to illustrate the hope that we're just pushing them a little farther out of their comfort zone each time. Music is such you never really achieve mastery no matter how many times you do it or how many years you do it, and we want to challenge the students to maintain growth so they don't become stagnant with the way they're moving through. And then this is just a restatement of our tiers. This is all can be found on the diagrams that you have the handouts in front of your computers.
On page 36 of the full proposal, we discussed the national standards. The National Association for Music Education does have national music standards that we adhere to in Penridge. And this is just an illustration of what we're asking our academic students to do and what we would be expecting from our honors students. There are 5 kind of columns in our national standards, and typically we're expecting our academic classes to hit intermediate or proficient points, which is very typical for a public high school ensemble. However, our current upper tier ensembles are already hitting either accomplished or advanced, and we would just continue to make sure that they were hitting points along those columns throughout their time in the honors class. And then there is no staffing or scheduling changes necessary in order to make this change. And then we feel that there are very clear benefits for our students in the music program, which you can read at your leisure. But if there are any questions, we can take them now.
I do want to thank the 3 of you, because this proposal went through many iterations, lots of considerations. So I just want to thank all 3 of you for your work on the proposal, and it's an exciting one.
So I assume if you are in the lower track tiers, you can't then move into another tier?
So the illustrations are the average student who is in the entry level for 1 year. Basically around midterm time, because that's about when we do course selection, their midterm also serves as an audition into that upper level ensemble. So for example, if you're in your junior year and everything finally starts to click and you're ready for that rigor and level of music, we would move them up into the ensemble, and they would complete the tier structure exactly where the seniors are at that level, but there wouldn't be an expectation for them to backlog contract points. So that's an ideal or average track. At any grade level, when students are ready and prepared to move in, they can audition into it, and we just set them on the track to so they can continue the extension activities like the other students.
So right now, I know we've had the issue with, if kids take band, then they don't get those higher level